We'd like to welcome you to the August 15th meeting of the Nicholas County Board of Education. If you would, please stand for a moment of silent reflection. And please, moment of silence for, we lost two students in the last week, one at Nicholas County High School and one at Richwood Middle School. And keep those families in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Thank you. If you would join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So we'll move to number 4 discussion items, Zmm Construction update.
So we will allow the, I believe Mike Hall from Skanska, our construction manager, will be conducting the meeting, and then we have with us Dave Ferguson and Chris Campbell from Zmm. The architects are working on the facility. Mr. Moose had asked for an update last time, and so they're going to present you with information today. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. Okay, it's all yours.
All right, thank you all so much for having us this evening. I appreciate you allowing us to present in this manner. It allows Zmm to continue to move forward on their end of the project and allow for me to get some things done in order to make this presentation. We'll do the design update, construction administration update, all on Zmm's part, and then I'll do also the construction update and some updated progress photos. As far as the design update, and Chris and Dave, feel free to chime in if I've left anything out here. Zmm is working on revising the construction documents and is scheduled to submit to the board for approval during the September 19th meeting. This would be seeking approval to submit to the SBA for review. Based on this schedule, bids will be received in November of 2022, and construction should hopefully commence in December with completion approximately March of 2025, and that is for Cherry River. For Glade Creek, Zmm is working on revising the design development documents, scheduled to submit to the board for approval in December. Construction documents are scheduled to be submitted to the board for approval sometime in February. Based on this schedule, bids will be received in late April, maybe early May of 2023, and construction will commence also in May of 23, completed approximately August of 2025. Construction administration, Zmm has submitted a cost proposal request to M&H for construction for M&H construction for site revisions. Sorry, stumbled there. This request will result in adding a few feet of soil material to the building pad and allow the pad to drain water. That's so it can sit over the winter and not accumulate water or damage the soils in any way. The revised project schedule will result in the building pad being remaining exposed for almost 11 months. And that's a pretty accurate number. I said in order to preserve the soil material and maintain a suitable subgrade, that's the reason for this cap, and will help avoid any additional costs or delays when the building construction actually commences. This proposal request also reflects the updated building footprint, which modifies some of the storm structures around the building and across the pad. The site utilities package for Glade Creek, ZMM is recommending and proceeding with the site utility erosion and sediment control maintenance bid package. The revised project schedule will result in the site being vacant for a period of approximately 6 months. With an active DEP permit, erosion and sediment control measures must be maintained throughout the project. So we anticipate bids for this package to be received around October or November. This will allow us to keep moving forward without having to basically shut the site down and mess with that DEP permit in any way, shape, or form. Construction update. M&H is continuing to place fill in all areas as needed and available. They're working on diversion ditches and other ESC measures as needed. Blasting is complete, and the large drill from Virginia Drilling has been removed from the site. They are placing manhole vertical extensions, or continuing to place, on 48-inch concrete pipe and filling the subgrade. Wall 1 cap is being placed, and fence is ready to install. As you'll see in the pictures, the cap is complete as of the end of last week and today. Preparing to begin construction of Wall 2. You'll also see in one of the pictures the delivery of that wall material. Working on the access road for alternate area 1, which was the increased LOD, or limits of disturbance, from FEMA. They're working on the northwest and southwest storm retention ponds, lining those with clay that is found on site. Also moving topsoil from alternate 1 area and stockpiling on site. So we've got yet more topsoil. Removing unsuitable soils and coal from the site as needed. We did find another coal seam, and M&H is working to remove that from the site. This is the first of the progress photos. This is the last update photo aerial from the last presentation. This is late June. This is east looking west. This is the view we've tried to maintain so we could give you a running update on what's going on with the site in this photo. You can see Wall 1 at the very top of your screen. You can see the middle ridge is still rather prominent, but is coming down. Closest to the bottom of the screen is the area of the 48-inch large concrete pipe drainage area. This is M&H delivering and placing soils. This is going on pretty much everywhere across the site. As fast as those trucks can move, the dozers can get it back out in the correct lift sizes. This is delivery of the wall material for wall number 2. And in the background, you can see them disassembling the large drilling rig for Virginia blasting for demobilization. This is actually one of the areas of the 48-inch concrete pipe. You can see that you actually don't see the pipe or the manhole extensions anymore. So that area is starting to get to a more of a finished grade condition. This is a sample of the cap on wall 1. This is standing on what will be the playing field side, looking to the top of the wall. And this is the aerial that I referred to, showing the completed wall number 1 from one end to the other. It's a bit massive, and if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, that is roughly where the rappelling area will be located, and the gate in the fence will be placed. This is M&H's equipment sitting on the middle ridge, or what's left of the middle ridge. It's almost gone. The road that I referred to access alternate area 1 in the northeast corner, this is what was created to begin moving soils and removing topsoil from that area for the increased LOD. This is the clay that's being placed. You can see the gray material in the back. That is what's going to line those storm retention ponds. This is the southeast retention pond. And that's all I have. Do I have any questions?
At the construction construction of the buildings, has the square footage changed since the amount that you gave us the last time in either place?
Previous meeting.
No, not from the last meeting. We presented the overall building designs. The square footage has not changed since we showed it to you last.
Are you still estimating $431 per square foot?
Currently, not right now. That's going to be an ongoing revised cost estimate. That's going to be a rolling cost estimate as we get to that point. When we get to the point of going to bid with Cherry River, we'll update the cost estimate at that time. We'll get with Skanska. If we have to, we'll get with a third party just to double check ourselves.
Do you anticipate it to be higher or lower?
I don't know. There have been some larger projects in the state that have come in lower recently, but there's also been some smaller projects that have come in a lot higher. So a lot of it depends right now. Some materials are coming down and some materials are going up. I know concrete went up, but steel went down. So it just depends on where you are in the state, I think, right now.
Mr. Moose, it tends to be an issue right now with delivery time and lead time, not so much necessarily as product cost, but in the time it takes to get materials through the entire chain.
So it will go up. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Donna, do you need us anymore?
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Okay, moving along to our action items for this evening. Approval of understanding with Glenville State student teacher, Ms. Atkins.
Yes, that contract is it was placed in your packets. This is just a standard contract. We have several state colleges and universities. This allows us to accept student teachers from those schools.
Most of our colleges are universities now, aren't they?
I believe so,
We work with,
yeah.
unless it might be up here, the extension.
Well, I don't think that's considered an extension of Glenville State anymore. I think it's its own
It's,
it's New River Community and Technical College.
yeah,
I think they all are universities, but I'm not 100% sure.
yeah.
Does the college itself make the assignments?
Yes. Well, and they consult with us, and a lot of times it depends on where the student lives. So, like, we have a local student who's from this area, who's in school up there. They'll try to place them here in some place with reasonable proximity to their home. It depends on, you know, what their certification area is gonna be. But we work with them on that, so they just don't say, here's your student, put them in this classroom. They consult with us, and we always speak with the teacher and the building principal as well.
We try to put them where they're needed the most.
Well, they're student teachers,
Yeah, I
so,
know.
so you try to put them in the place where it'll be the most, where they can learn the most as well. I mean, it just depends on their certification area and where they live. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
I think it also would depend on the supervising teacher as well.
Correct.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I said, it probably depends too on the supervising teacher, their certifications, and if they're able to handle that.
Yeah.
most of the time, veteran teacher.
Correct, correct.
Ask Tommy and Tammy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any questions? Okay. Action item B, approval Neola policies, sections 5,000, 6,000, with proposed changes effective immediately.
Yes, those were also loaded in your board packets, the policies that were changed. These, we work with Neola, so Neola, they send out recommended changes based on changes in code, and they recommended changes to 3 policies, and that was 5200, 5140, and 5310, and those changes are in your packet, and I believe that if you pull them up, that the new language is green and that the stricken language is red.
I think the one on distance learning was changed most, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And are those all counted as our students, the one they were speaking about in that policy?
They're our students.
Because I noticed that it had to come through the board.
Yeah. So, and there were no comments, so these were placed on comment, well, obviously not the revised policies, because we just got those revisions. But they were placed on public comment for 20 days, and we received no comments on either policy section. I'll answer any specific questions that you have. I know, like, for instance, the driver's license, when the legislature removed that provision from the code that required us to sign off on proof of enrollment forms, so the changes in that policy are a direct reflection of the change in that code.
If you read through all that, it's pretty amazing how many policies there are.
Yes.
I know you're not gonna remember all of them.
No.
You have to look them up, know where to find them.
Yeah.
I was working in one room reading this, and I lost my signal, went to the other room, another room, and when it came back up, everything was different on my screen. I don't know if it updated or...
Well, I probably loaded up the revised policies, because I had to take the old ones out and put the revised ones in.
Maybe it was just catching up, I don't know the
Yeah.
signal.
Yeah.
Any questions on 5,000 or 6,000 sections? Okay, if not, approval of all school crisis plans. According to West Virginia Code 6-98-4, Section 12, we're going to go into executive session to discuss this. I have a motion.
Mr. President, I move we go to executive session for the reasons you just stated.
Thank you.
So,
All in favor?
We probably did the same way.
Okay, do I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Berry made the motion to come out of executive session, seconded by Dr. Penix. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it's 6:56. There was no decisions made during the executive session. Okay, approval of the virtual school policy.
Tammy?
Ms. Tammy.
He's talking to me, causing trouble. I'm back here behaving.
Sure.
Sure.
I just wanted to point that out.
She did her student teaching under him, so we'll blame it on him.
Well, I think you have in your packet the virtual policy. We have to update this and we send it to the state every year. So there's a couple things. On page 2, attendance, the DMV no longer requires a proof of enrollment, so I just scratched that out. Then on number 5, extracurricular activities with homeschool kids coming into our virtual program to play sports. I just put,
Their pages are probably a bit different because I had to put in the old policy, you know what I'm saying?
okay, I thought you were just gonna do this one.
Well, but I had to go strike all that other one out,
Okay.
so that's what I did, so the page numbers are just different.
Okay, well, they've seen it. So really, that was the only two things that had any change, was the attendance and the driver's eligibility. And I just posted West Virginia code in there and what went with that as far as,
Do they, I'm sorry, go ahead, were you finished?
no, I was.
Do they start at the same time that our schools start, or is?
Actually, they're starting tomorrow.
That's-
If everything went through today, I talked to Ken Lester and Charlie Phillips numerous times today, and our high school counselors and middle school counselors are the facilitators, and they've been getting the kids' classes and course codes that were sent to them. They've been getting all that together today, and we've sent documents back and forth to one another. So I think, the way I understand it, Ken will have everybody listed in and registered, and kids will start getting emails tomorrow with their login information and the URL where they need to go, and can start tomorrow. But now the first week is pretty much learning rules and how to navigate the site, and many of the kids that we have this year were in it last year,
Well,
so they know how to navigate.
they are already making assignments. My granddaughter's in one of those, and they're already getting assignments,
Well,
but
and
they don't
see,
have their textbooks yet.
Rich,
So-
well, no, that's a different thing, I think.
No, it's
That
just-
might be the dual credit.
That's a history class, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's different, but for our virtual programming, it's proximity, where Jason Butcher had been here that time to speak about it. And Richwood High School has a whole class that's gonna be proctored for American Sign Language as an elective, foreign language. It's actually foreign language credit.
Is this the program that students can be virtual and present? Either way, or, depending on
And
their
I
schedule?
have, I think, like last year, we had 50 or close to 60, 55 at the very beginning, somewhere around that area. And this year, we have about 23 full-time students, and then I've got about 4 or 5 that are just homeschool students taking one class. And then the American Sign Language class at Ridgewood High School. But this is something I just have to bring before you every year and make sure that it's up to date. And then I'll pretty my copy up to send to the state.
Good program.
It is, it really is good.
Yeah.
Well, I think it makes our system more flexible to try to reach more students.
Yes, and I think we brought some homeschool families over to it. I have a few homeschool families, and we had, Thursday evening, we had a parent orientation. So we were hearing lots of questions got asked and answered.
So there are 23 that are enrolled this year, there were 56 last year, so we, obviously, they either graduated or we got some back.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, we did have some graduates, we did, and several did come back. Well, part of the policy is they have to have a 3.0, and if, if they can't maintain that, then they, at the semester,
They have to come
it's
back.
the
to
only time we
regular-
make changes, yeah.
regular classroom.
What's the one where they have to have a certain ACT score?
That would probably be one of the.
That's probably the dual
That'd
credit.
be one of the dual credits.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what that is.
Of course, they have to maintain a certain average in these classes also.
Yes, yeah. To at least be passing. And they, not just passing, but they have to be able to make sure they're going with their cohort and gonna get their credits so they graduate with their cohort. And I check weekly, the counselors at the schools check probably bi-weekly or more if they have a lot of parent phone calls. And last year we had a lot of parent phone calls and dealing with parents and students. We actually had some kids tutoring, getting tutored. So it worked out fairly well last year. It was a bumpy start, but I think this year's going to be much better.
Thank you. Action item E, approval of Susan Barrett contract for professional development services for Cherry River Elementary, funded by School Title I funds.
I believe you have a copy of that contract in your packet. It's pretty much a renewal of last year's, however, there's been one tweak to one of the first items, and that's that she's going to provide implementation support for Bridges Math Intervention and IXL. And that Bridges Math Intervention is something that school's leadership team investigated and selected for use last spring. So she'll coach that implementation as well.
Well, number one is for the students and the rest are for faculty, is that the way that is?
It's actually all for faculty, it's all professional development, but she models sometimes with students.
She's going to be working with the faculty instead of the students now.
That's what she's done the last few years.
She's there for 50 days, up to 50 days. I'm assuming that she's working with them during planning time and, or before or after school possibly.
Right, or sometimes she'll push in, like some of them last year wanted to see what the small group instruction could look like. And she would go in and work with the small group of kids where she's delivering the lesson, but the teacher is watching how she does it. And then after, during their planning or when they have a break, then they kind of debrief, and she can go into why she's done what she's done.
When they turn in their time, does somebody have to sign off on their time?
Yes, the school administrator signs off on it, and then they submit it to me.
And then you probably have to submit.
Then I submit over to Peggy.
Thank you. Item F, approval of contract with Frontier for internet services.
I'm not going to ask for approval of contract. We were waiting on a quote, and so we have online ticket sales that will be taking place for our athletic events. And it's going to be a challenge if people don't buy them at home and they get to the gate and then they can't access tickets, just like what happened to me when I went to the state fair. I didn't have enough signal to access my tickets there. So, but anyway, so something that would have been a nice thing to have had a few years ago is now coming down to that it feels like more of a necessity. I know that we've also had a request for concession sales, for that to also be done electronically. So anyway, the price about shocked us. So for 10 megabytes for Summersville area, or the stadium at Nicholas County High School is $7.90 a month. And of course, if you go then for 50 megabytes, it's $1,030 a month. And 100 megabytes is $1,240 a month. Then for Richwood Stadium, 10 megabytes is $600 a month, 50 megabytes is $880, and 100 megabytes is $1,080. So you're talking anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000, and it's not eligible for us to get the E-rate, the 90% back. I think right now for the entire county, we only average about $100 a month is our bill, because we get the 90% of that cost back. So we are still exploring options, and Chris is going to be looking at additional quotes. He's going to see if there's any type of negotiations that can occur. He's going to, we may possibly even just go with some hot spots for ticket sales and, the things that we need. So anyway, not asking to move forward on this, just giving you an update as to our next steps. If you have any questions, thank you, sir. Chris has been the one that's really looked at it, but that's pretty much where we are.
What would we have to do at those stadiums so that we can get that E-rate?
You have to make it an educational facility. E-rate calls it a NIF, non-educational facility. So if there were classes that were held there, I mean, if it was an educational facility, then.
But we don't hold any classes
But
here.
then, it did, and that's the thing, you have to file these a year at a time. I've already filed for this school year. We'd have to pay for it until next July 1.
I mean, if they started holding their PE classes there, I don't know what percentage of the time, percentage of use has to be at the facility.
I'll have to check with my consultants, but I don't know how much, yeah. And then what we'll have to do is, we'll have to cost allocate the percentage that we think we use it for non-educational uses.
So see, if you only have one class there, you're still paying the majority of the, so probably our best bet is to look at hotspots or see if, something else.
I'm gonna try to talk, and I haven't used Chantel for commercial. They bid on stuff, but they've never been the cheapest. And I know they have a data cap for residents. And so that's something that we kind of have to avoid in education, is the data cap. You don't want to use all your data because there's going to be a lot of people using it. I mean, obviously the coaches, they're going to be downloading videos and uploading videos. And that's a high bandwidth thing to do. And then the concession stand will be using it for all their purchases, and the tickets will be using it for all their purchases. And I'm sure that with service there, schools would probably want to live stream games, maybe. I'm not sure if they would want to do that or not. And so
But,
a data cap, I feel like is a bad idea.
but it
Yeah.
would be, we've got to get it down because there's no way that we can justify spending a couple $1,000s a month for internet at a stadium. you
Did
know.
you check with Chuck to sing at Ridgewood?
I did not. I can,
Check with him.
but we have to filter everything too, so he would have to let us VPN through his system.
A lot cheaper rate,
Yeah,
$69 a month.
yeah. Well, if we can do that, I don't know what the bandwidth on that is.
$69
You
a
know,
month.
I know you're worried,
I
or,
asked him the other day what he charged the board for, if the internet would hit the stadium,
Yeah.
because it's,
I'm not opposed to any of it as long as he's fine with us putting equipment on his network to filter all the stuff. You know what I mean? We just, because what I would want to do from that, and he'd also have to be okay with whatever I get at that field, I'm pretty sure there's a straight line of sight over the red brick gym. I want to put a wireless bridge in there and cast it over to the gym for the same cost.
call him and talk to him.
Do you have contact information?
Not with me.
You care to text me that or something?
I'll send it to
yeah, it's a disadvantage for our, both football teams not to be able to watch film.
Well,
And more so for Ridgewood because, the school's in Craigsville and they're practicing Ridgewood. And it's pretty tough.
yeah, I mean, that is a disadvantage that they can't watch it at the field, but they all have big screen TVs and stuff at school that they could do that too, if they just wanted to have a film day.
Well, I think a lot of times they watch film on Monday, first part of practice, and then they go to practice, so. But,
Do we have other internet companies here?
In Summersville, all you have is Chantel and Frontier, and that's all you have in Richmond too, as far as I know.
Well, but he just mentioned two things.
Tuesday, I don't know, what's the name of his company?
Sometimes I don't know.
Yeah, I really didn't know that he was selling it over there, so.
Well, yeah, he put his own system in, so he's on most of Main Street. If
But
you can
he's-
see the
He's
building.
probably buying it from, he's gotta get it from somebody.
He put his own, like you do in a football stadium, whatever they put in there, that's what he's got. So he provides internet for half of Ridgewood just about.
I mean, he's gotta get it from somebody. I mean, your internet has to come from somebody.
I don't know how he's getting it, but he's got it.
I don't care who he gets it from, if we can get it for $70 a month and use it.
Yeah, that'd be cheaper than our.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, talk to him and see what he has, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Doesn't AT&T, don't they have satellite
And
signals?
US Cellular does too, but they all have bandwidth caps, and they're not high, most of them are not high bandwidth speeds.
No, not-
We're gonna have some throughput to facilitate the needs of what they wanna do.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what, I was trying to get a quote on at least 100 meg, and I don't know if you saw the
Couple
quote.
thousand, I read it to him, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
AT&T,
No, that was Frontier.
Frontier.
And which is kind of crazy because for every school, I think it's like right off the top of my head, it's $990 a month for a gig connection, 1,000 meg, not the 10 meg that they quoted for $800 a month. And then we get to E-rate that, we're gonna pay $100 a month for it.
So that's
For
what
1,000
doesn't make
meg.
sense.
Now, if you got the 5G hookup in the county, would that take care of it, or if you get that in the schools?
I don't think it would, because I have 5G on my phone, and it says it's 5G, and it's still not that. It's kind of crazy. I do speed test, and it says it's okay, but actual usage is just not there. But we could, that's why I said, worst case scenario is you get a couple hotspots. You have one at the ticket booth and one at the concession stand, and they could use one of those as coaches all week, I think that's your worst case scenario, and those are about, for unlimited data through AT&T, are about $70 a month.
So we'll figure it out, just Just not ready tonight.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Do I have a motion to consider action items A, B, C, D, E?
So moved.
Dr. Penix makes a motion,
Second.
second by Mr. Green. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that brings us to consent items.
Oh, we're going back.
Mr. Hess.
Okay, the first item on finance agenda is payment of current invoices. If you have any questions.
That, Kevin, I was asking Chip Donna there, the bill for Social Security, I guess it was $648,000 or something. Was that for the year or how?
That is a paycheck. That's one pay
To
run.
Social Security?
To the IRS for our 941 deposit.
For how much?
That's one payroll.
Sorry about that, I was wrong.
For one pay period?
Yeah.
Me
one
too.
pay period.
And how long is that? Is that a quarter or monthly?
That is that's twice, that's one, every 15 days.
15.
$1 million.
Let me double check what you're looking at. Is it on here?
Yeah, I saw it somewhere. I couldn't find it in here.
Yeah, we have a 941 deposit, which is essentially the Social Security, Medicare, that's withheld from everybody's employee, every employee's check. The county matches that, plus all the federal withholding. So all of that is sent to the US Treasury within 24 hours of every paycheck. So more than likely, that one check that you see, unless it has combined two, is just for one payroll run. But if you think about that, you have 400 or 500 employees, and they all hold hundreds of dollars out of their check.
That's a lot of money every day.
And you're just paying half of it, right? Or is it?
Our half is half of the Social Security and the Medicare.
Yeah, that's taken out of the checks.
Now, there's an amount that's taken out of the check. We match that essentially.
Yeah, right.
And then we add the federal withholding that's withheld from employees' checks, and we send all of that to the federal government.
And you have to do it within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours.
So you don't try to get the interest on that for a week.
If you can find it there, I'll double check and make sure that's not a month, but if it's a single check, it's probably one payroll run.
That is on page 1. It's check 2209199. Federal 941.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Any other questions on payment of current invoices?
Kevin, this RT Rogers, we're paying them this, on this payroll, or on this pay run this time. Do they have, they had the bid this year also for oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're recommending tonight that we approve them for this current year?
Correct.
Okay.
And so the state reimburses us 90% of that, right?
90% of fuel, yes.
Takes us about 2 years to get it. Takes us about 2 years to get it though.
About 2 years, and there's a cap. They'll only reimburse up to 90%, up to a certain threshold, and then they don't reimburse beyond that. But we haven't met that, we're close, but we've not met that threshold yet.
All covered.
Yeah, it's on there.
Any other questions?
Wait. Just a minute.
Me and my computer's not seeing eye to eye here, not making contact.
Wow, so,
That changed it. I looked at it earlier today.
It's not on yours, you want to use mine?
Nah, it's all right. I remember looking at it.
Yeah. It's
I couldn't pull it.
gone.
Yeah, meltdown.
He didn't want you to know.
I guess. Hiding it from him.
The question, that's why you get it.
Pardon?
If you have questions, that's why you get it.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a clock going on.
Go ahead, Kevin,
I don't see that one you're talking about for 941. I see one there that's $50-some thousand.
It's not on mine either.
The other, item 2 are bids, and so we put our fuel out for bid and for this school year. And we had one bidder, is RT Rogers, and they bid .2367 cents over the rack price. So essentially, as the prices fluctuate from the plant, they'll mark that up 23 cents, and then send us an invoice for that amount.
And we're exempt on the taxes on that, right?
We are, yes. There are some federal, and state taxes that we ask for a refund. Some of them we have to pay, like some of our buses fuel at fueling stations, and so we have to pay the tax initially, and then we request reimbursement of those taxes back. But
That would be if they're on a field trip or something?
sometimes, like if, we, trying to think down at, when we had Dixie open, Browns, I think maybe they filled up down there, because the bus stayed in that area, so driving clear up here
Right.
is closer and cheaper to just fuel up there. So we'd like to ask the board to approve the bid with RT Rogers for this upcoming school year.
Kevin, I probably forgot to ask you back in budget season, did we budget a larger amount this year in light of the increase in fuel costs? Did we budget more in fuel this year?
If I remember right, I budgeted about $600,000 for fuel.
More or total?
Total.
Total? Is that up like 200, 300,000?
I think I raised it $250,000.
600,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, how much?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right.
Is that 2 point
That's 23 cents above what you're going.
a gallon or 23 a gallon?
Above what they pay.
Okay,
So it's a cost plus bid.
cost plus, okay. That's one place we're above the national average, gasoline prices. Yeah.
Yeah. Item B are 2 requests for out-of-state travel.
Do you normally approve those that far out? I just want, like with the COVID situation, if that goes rampant again, I guess we can.
I think so they can fundraise.
Yeah.
So they have to fundraise for it.
But you can rescind it if you need to, right? Okay.
Yeah, I
I
assume
think we
so.
need to do that in 20.
Mhm.
We had to
Mhm.
stop the travel.
Oh, yeah, I
We did.
remember.
Do they only have 26 kids in the band?
No, I don't know what that troop is, but I think they have more.
Maybe jazz band or something like
I mean, it just says 26 kids, students there. I
Was
just-
that for Nichols County High School? I think the 26 had to be a typo, because they asked for more buses, I think there were a couple buses over there. So I think that had to be a typo.
Maybe it's 62.
Yeah.
That sounds more.
That sounds better, that sounds more like it.
Is that where the RHS band went this summer?
No, this is to be- oh, you mean earlier?
Yeah,
They went to Disney World, yeah,
that same,
same place.
same trip, yeah.
I think one goes one year and the other one goes next year, so.
Do we have a motion to accept consent items A, finance one, payment of current invoices, the bids for fuel, RT Rogers. B, out-of-state travel request for the Nicholas County Band, and, I'm sorry, I didn't give you time to say number 2.
Well, I'd said both, we had 2 requests under out-of-state travel.
Okay. And do we have a motion to accept those?
So move.
Second?
Dr. Penix made the motion, seconded by Mr. Moose. Any discussion? All in favor?
that.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Hess. That brings us to personnel.
We're going to need an executive session.
Yes, we need an executive session.
Okay, do we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Green made the motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Dr. Penix. All in favor? Aye.
Is that easy? We're doing this one.
Well, Frederick caffeine now, either wait till 2 o'clock in the morning, or we'll be sleeping tomorrow.
It's on the back of the side. He's got it. Are we ready?
And
Okay, do I have a motion to come out of the executive session? Mr. Berry made the motion,
Second.
seconded by Dr. Penix. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? There were no decisions made during executive session. Okay, personnel.
All right, you have before you the updated personnel agenda. The changes are highlighted in yellow. I have made an updated copy available to members of the public and the press, but I will read over the changes. On page 1, down toward the bottom there, Daniel Martin, employing a position of social studies teacher at Nicholas County High School. Well, that should say effective August, that's a typo there, 15th, 2022. Then we're going to remove all of those positions there to the middle of the page on page 2. I did not have recommendations for those. I did hear from the principal at Birch River Elementary. She did not have any applications for that position, and I am going to repost it. I did not hear from other principals today, and I just honestly, with their first day being back, I didn't pursue it too hard, because if they had recommendations, they would have sent them to me. So I'll find out tomorrow what positions I need to repost and what ones have the potential for a hire at a later date.
Also on page 2, if you look under employing a position for substitute teacher for Nicholas County Schools effective upon WVDE approval, added the name of Stephanie Flanagan. For employing a position of restricted substitute teacher for Nicholas County Schools effective upon WVDE approval, we've added Ricky Blankenship, Amber Smith, Carla Hickey, Kim Hall, Marsha Russell, and Joanne Hickman over there on page 3. Down toward the bottom of page 3, under service, Jackie Knight, employee in the position of Transportation Instruction Aide 4 at Summersville Elementary School effective August 15th. Alicia Mitchell, employee in the position of one-on-one Transportation Instruction Aide 2 at Nicholas County High School effective August 16th, 2022. Melissa Russell, employee in the position of long-term substitute Transportation Instruction Aide for Cherry River Elementary School effective September 6th, 2022. Diana Barnett resigns her position as interventionist at Summersville Elementary School effective August 12th, 2022. And then permission to post and hire a flex teacher for Summersville Elementary School to be paid for with county funds. Permission to post and hire positions by the superintendent as needed until September 6th, 2022. And permission for the superintendent to approve contracts related to student needs until September 6th, 2022. And also on page 6, you have leave requests from employees that I will not read aloud to protect their privacy. And then I've also got an updated vacancy list for you. As you can see, we're going to actually pop up to 16 vacancies for classroom teaching positions with the resignations that are on the agenda today. And we'll still be at 4 non-classroom teaching positions as well. So,
Mrs. Atkins, on those 16 that are listed there, some of those positions are being filled tonight.
correct.
Okay. When's the first day teachers are back?
Today.
And you have, we have 16 vacancies out there.
Yes.
And school's open today. Students will be there, what, next Monday?
Yes.
Are we hopeful of filling some of those?
I hope so. Like I said, I know there were applicants for at least the social studies positions, and I know that there were some interviews that were going to take place, and possibly the English position at Summersville Middle School. I sent an email to the principals early this morning and said, get me any recommendations that you had. I heard from Birch River, and no one else responded, and they were busy today, so I didn't follow up to see what I was going to need to repost. I figured I would do that in the morning, so I'll be posting jobs tomorrow. There's the potential that some of these we can hire, and some of them, I know the Birch River position, for instance, we're going to have to repost, and we may look at reconfiguring that.
So of these, we're about guaranteed to start school with 16 substitutes out there that may end up being, some of them will end up being full-time.
Correct.
Are any of these positions critical need?
Well, I mean, any classroom teacher position that you've got, of course, is, you're talking in terms of for retired teachers?
Yes.
I think about all of them are.
Okay. And a retired teacher, if it's in critical need, if they're retired, I understand they can collect their retirement and plus receive full pay for their job.
Correct, and they can work the entire school year in a position.
The entire what?
They can, so a retired teacher typically is restricted from working they can only work so many days.
Right.
If they are in an area of critical need that we've identified through our policy, then they can work the entire school year.
Okay, yeah, correct.
Did we have anybody interested in ROTC? And we had,
I don't think we had an applicant. I didn't hear from Mrs. Rapp. She didn't say, normally if there's an applicant for that position, she would probably let me know. But again, with school
And
opening, I think if she'd have had I think if she'd have had an applicant for that, we probably would have had a recommendation for this because this position has been posted
multiple times.
And that has to be somebody that's in the service,
Correct.
and they have to be,
They have to be an
officer.
officer. Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
because I had that question.
Right, and I think we've probably got somebody identified to come, a couple of people who are gonna come in and substitute in that. One is certified ROTC, retired, and the other one, he's actually on the agenda for hire as a substitute teacher, and that's Zmm McCutcheon. He said he would be happy to come in for, he actually ran the ROTC program at Glenville State. So, I mean, we certify him as a substitute teacher. He's retired. He wasn't interested in coming out of retirement to take that position on full-time, but said that he would be willing to substitute in that a couple of days a week to help us out.
I think that is a critical program that we need to maintain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other discussion, questions? Do we have a motion to accept the personnel agenda?
Mr. President, I move we accept the personnel agenda as presented.
Dr. Penix makes a motion, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Berry. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that brings us to superintendent's information.
So you have the construction update earlier by the architects and the construction manager. Schools are in pretty good shape. Our folks have been working hard to make sure that schools are ready to receive students. You know, we had I'll have to brag on Libby Kaufman. She was out pulling weeds and taking care of all the shrubbery down at Birch River. So I was down there, and there's piles of stuff they pulled out. She recruited some local folks that come in and helped out, and I said, hey, anytime we got people willing to help out, we appreciate it. But anyway, it looks pretty nice now. We need to continue to do some more work there, but schools are in pretty good shape. The other thing that I really wanted to talk to you about is test scores. They're out, and Dr. Lee, she actually put together some information for you, and before we have a workshop, I thought it would be nice to send it home with you. That way you can have time to go through, look at it, digest, you know, some of the things that we have going on. So one of the things, basically it's grades 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 11th. And the elementary grades, you know, up through 7th grade, reading and math is what's tested. And of course, 8th grade and 11th grade is reading, math, and science. So we have the scores for this year. We had we improved in 11 areas. We stayed the same in 2 areas and declined in 4 areas. So, you know, I'd like to show an improvement in every area, but not so bad, especially with all that we've gone through. But anyway, Dr. Lee put all this stuff together. She can definitely speak in depth about this much better than I can. So if we'll have like a work session, if you all let us know when you want to do that, and she can go into detail. But I told her I thought it would be really nice to get this in your hands tonight, so that way you can have some time to look over it. Good.
Okay. Just remember, I know last time we talked about the fact that there's 2 types of data. There's accountability data, which is what's released for kind of judgment and public view. Then there's raw data, which is what the principals looked at during their principal academy. And you'll see I kind of have them separated for you in that booklet, so you can see what the principals look at with raw data, as well as what's out there in the public Zoom data. The public data is in that red spiral-bound booklet, and it's got all the schools in the state and all the counties, which is all stuff you can find on Zoom. But if you're like me, sometimes it's a little nicer to have paper to look at rather than trying to scroll from screen to screen to screen. And then I also included for you a booklet that we went through at the Principals Academy on that left-hand side, which is kind of the standards that were statistically significantly weak. And of course, we have shared that with the principals so that this week they can dig in with their teachers and look to see where their piece of the puzzle is.
So a lot of information for you to review. And again, we can have a work session on that. Dr. Lee does an excellent job, delving in and going through. It's important, we know what classrooms, there's some interesting things going on. There's some interesting dynamics. And of course, we are very careful. I typically don't even show you the teachers associated with the classroom scores. We just show you the scores. So we do have more details if you want more details. I just typically don't like to tie teacher names to it. But again, if you look at it, when you do the comparisons and all that we've been through with COVID and the testing, and 11 areas improved, 2 we stayed the same before we declined.
And I did give them the charts that we shared with the principals that showed where we were in 2019,
Yeah.
pre-COVID,
Yep.
and then last year and this year. But keep in mind, last year's testing, we did not have to hit the 95% threshold. You tested whoever wasn't quarantined. So the reliability on that's a lot less.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people don't realize that because if kids were quarantined, they didn't get tested, so we didn't have that threshold. Because before it was 95%, and if you didn't have 95% of the students there, then you had a 0 count against you. And anyway, we had some classes that had very few students in them to test.
Fifth grade.
Yeah, 5th grade, very few students. So, anyway, and also, I'll jump back out of the data just a second. Every year, I try to pick a school to really do a deep dive on cleaning. This year, I picked the 2 stadiums to work on. So you'll see a lot of work going on at both of those, trying to get them, ready.
In other words, if we were the governing board that heard the expulsion,
What about you just set in and
Just to, yeah.
just,
Observe.
yeah, they say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might work fine. I just, there's a lot to be learned here,
I
and,
agree. I agree.
of course, we'd have to do that 2 or less, right?
No, I don't think, because you're not gonna have a decision, you would just be observing.
There would be no discussion of any policy or board action.
You would just be observing.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Dr. Whitaker?
I do, and there's a provision in that code, and Mrs. Atkins might be able to cite it right off. Board members can assemble together for trainings, for educational matters, just like when we go to the School Boards Association meetings.
For award ceremonies.
Right, things like that. We just can't have discussions that, we can even discuss things that are pertinent to education, but we can't discuss anything where it leads to the potential of making a decision. So,
That is correct.
Okay.
So we can definitely, with the expulsion hearings, I think it would be wonderful for you to sit in and see.
Yep.
You wouldn't be obligated, but
Well, hopefully we don't have any scheduled soon.
I hope not.
Okay. Any other? Future meeting dates, regular meeting Tuesday, September 6th, 2022, at the central office, start time 6. Monday, September 19th, 2022, central office, start time 6. Regular meetings for October, October 3rd, 2022, at the central office, start time 6 o'clock. Second regular meeting in November is October 17th, 2022, at the central office, start time 6.
And you want us, we should be at high school
At-
the
at-
19th,
at 8 o'clock if you could.
and that's on Thursday,
Friday.
Friday, okay.
It starts at 8, it starts at 8, or we need to be there at 8?
8:15 is when your resident's going to speak.
Just-
Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?